Thank you, Bridget. Did you know that some everyday habits might be causing harm to your gut health? Today we are joined again by Dr. Darren Green, who will be unpacking the hidden dangers of dependency of anti-inflammatory medications, alcohol and stress and the effects on our gut. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Show. It's lekker to have you here.
Yeah, okay, good to be back.
So listen, paint us the picture, because before we even start with all the habits that people develop, can you give us an overview of what gut health is and how does it play a role within the body?
Sure. So, I mean, the gut is like the engine of this car. Whatever happens there supplies the energy that drives this car. So if your gut is disturbed, your energy levels are down, your mood is bad, and you just don't have any oomph to take on anything in your daily living.
And I think we obviously have now identified three habits that cause a threat throughout the body, one being alcohol, one being stress, and one being a dependence on medication.
Top three.
Long term, right? So let's start with medication. What role does that play if you are, like they say, a long user of these antidepressants or anything, as you say?
Good point.
As you always say,
anti-alles. There are a lot of families living in the gut. It's like a community of families of bacteria, like probiotic families, so good bacteria, fungus, viruses that live in the gut. They're on the journey with us. And what happens is all the different families are living together. But depending on what we do with the medications we take or the food we eat, we either neglect certain families and then they leave and they die out. And that means those families are no longer there to help us absorb the specific nutrients we need that form the building blocks of different components of our health. So when it comes to meds, the things that play the biggest role are the antibiotics. So unless you really need an antibiotic for a pneumonia or an infection in the body, you shouldn't be taking it, because it doesn't only kill the bad bacteria that make us sick, it kills the good ones too, the good bacteria in the gut. Same applies to things like anti-inflammatories, which is for pain and swelling and muscle pain. I mean, everyone loves that when they're running and exercising and they have sore muscles. The problem is that anti-inflammatory affects the lining of the stomach, that affects absorption of food and digestion of food. So what people don't know is that treating your pain leads to abnormal absorption and digestion of food in the gut, both in the stomach and in the small intestine, where absorption occurs. The other medicine that we need to know about that's important is something as simple as an antacid. You know when you've got a bit of that heartburn?
Yeah, correct.
You pop an antacid. Now, some of them switch off the acid pumps, and that then changes the pH, the acid balance in the body. Now, certain of these families that live in the gut, they need a certain pH range to carry on surviving. And when we change it with the medication we take, we don't make it favorable for them to continue, and then we lose that population of good bacteria in the gut.
If I just fast forward to the alcohol issue, because sometimes there's an excessive amount and some people don't know, you know, what damage that can do. So when it comes to alcohol, what are we looking at?
So if you think about alcohol and what it consists of, it's a cleaning agent. We use it to clean surfaces. We use it to kill bacteria on surfaces. And it removes the grit, grime from a lot of things. So when you ingest it, it has two effects. It affects the lining of the gut itself in the stomach, where that substance actually causes redness and swelling and damaging that.
So it burns out.
Burns it. And then secondly, obviously, with that causes inflammation and an inflammatory response. So your body feels the burn, and then it sends in all the artillery to try and heal the burn. And with that healing and the inflammation, it impairs then its ability to actually absorb the good nutrients in what we are consuming as well. And then alcohol, unfortunately, affects other parts of the digestive tract, like your liver. We all know you get liver disease and cirrhosis if you drink too much. The pancreas, acute pancreatitis, that makes the juice that breaks down food into its components in the gut, also gets affected. It can also affect the ability to develop cancer. So cancer, obviously, how it causes cancer is it causes direct damage to the DNA in cells. And when the body's DNA is triggered, it can then form abnormal growth patterns and lead to cancer.
This is insane, because I feel like you're now saying to people like, listen, if you thought you were enjoying a drink before, do it responsibly.
Drink responsibly and make sure it's in balance with the rest of, good decisions and good habits. So
I think the last point then I want to touch on is chronic stress, because I never knew that stress could be related in that way when it comes to the gut? And then what is the symptoms?
Good
for that?
point. So what happens when we stress? We either eat too much or we don't eat at all.
Ooh.
You don't sleep because you worry. Think about a breakup. Think about a relationship. What happens under that stress? You then have a stress ulcer that develops because either you're not eating on an empty stomach and your body, to survive, is pumping out acid into an empty stomach. It then eats the lining, burning a crater or an ulcer that can start bleeding and lead to anemia and iron shortage and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So stress affects the digestive system directly with acid production and movement of the gut and so on. And secondly, the steroid in our bodies called cortisol, is important for coping with stress. So that, when those levels are constantly high,
Starts overworking.
and has an effect on multiple systems in the body that steal your wellness and happiness.
What is things that is good step that we can be proactive in doing to build up that immune system again for the gut?
Rest the gut from high fatty foods, bad fats, processed foods. So make good choices about the healthy things you put into this meat box. That's the first thing. The second thing is look at your stress management techniques in terms of the stresses that are causing you distress in your life. So be aware of that. That means becoming quiet, becoming mindful, and then doing something about the stress instead of worrying about it all the time. And then watching what you put in it that can affect the gut microbiome, like in terms of medication. Don't just take medication without a real good indication where the risk and benefit needs to be weighed up against each other. So it must be really absolutely necessary. And with that, obviously, comes exercise, which plays a massive role in bowel motion, as well as absorption of food. Really, really useful. And then the last one is sleep. People don't understand that sleep has a massive impact on the gut in terms of the balance and also the amount of different enzymes involved. So don't underestimate the power of sleep.
I'm laughing.
Why are you laughing?
No, because I remember last week you spoke to us about sleeping and how important it is.
Yes.
But I don't think holistically in the bigger picture you actually realize how important it is to do and how it benefits the body. I remember my dad always saying, like, your body is like a car. What you put into it is the mileage you get out of it.
Wow, that's true, wisdom.
We're going to put a pin over that. Thank you so much.
Wisdom.
It's lovely having you here. This has been a really eye-opening conversation. Let's take this as a reminder to be kinder to our bodies and more mindful of the habits we adopt. Stay tuned because after the break, Pali will chat to the Afrikaans music icon, Meneer Darren.